Investigators say 6 men were running enough fentanyl to kill everyone who lives in Suffolk County.
Busted a drug operation that had enough fentanyl to kill all 1.5 million people who live in Suffolk County.
Prosecutors say the suspects had enough fentanyl to kill every single resident in Suffolk County, Long Island.
FBI have just executed one of the largest narcotics takedowns in New York history, seizing enough fentanyl to kill 1.5 million people and dismantling a drug network that connected the Bronx to Long Island's East End. The joint operation, led by the FBI, DEA, and NYPD, targeted a sophisticated cartel pipeline supplying fentanyl, heroin, and cocaine into suburban neighborhoods. In total, 6 men were arrested, and agents uncovered multiple stash houses designed for bulk packaging and weapon storage.
In Mexico alone, an estimated 100,000 civilians have been tragically murdered or gone missing at the hands of these cartels. I will order the Department of Defense to make appropriate use of special forces, cyber warfare, and other overt and covert actions to inflict maximum damage on cartel leadership, infrastructure, and operations.
It's enough fentanyl to kill all 1.5 million residents of Suffolk County.
This is not a street-level bust, said DEA Special Agent Frank Tarantino. This is a full-blown cartel supply chain, buried inside New York's residential streets. The operation's significance goes beyond arrests. It dismantled a logistics network that officials say could have flooded the region with enough narcotics to wipe out the entire population of Suffolk County. According to investigators, the pipeline was funded and supplied by major Mexican cartels, including CJNG and Sinaloa, who used urban routes through the Bronx to feed synthetic opioids and cocaine into Long Island communities. Agents described the network as the 21st century drug trade, an ecosystem built on social media sales, encrypted messages, cash apps, and door-to-door drop-offs. Dealers used fake online storefronts to sell counterfeit oxycodone pills laced with fentanyl, while payments were routed through digital wallets to avoid detection. It wasn't corner sales anymore, said one agent. It was a digital narcotics empire, operating like an e-commerce business. The investigation traced drug shipments from the Bronx into Bayshore, West Islip, Lindenhurst, and Wyandanch.
We believe that these drugs that ended up here in Long Island are coming from the Mexican cartels,
where stash houses doubled as distribution and packaging centers. Each location was rigged with surveillance cameras, fortified locks, and coded entry points, hallmarks of cartel logistics. On October 30th, federal task forces launched simultaneous raids across all 5 locations. In Wyandanch, officers found 3 kilograms of fentanyl, 5 kilograms of heroin, 1 kilogram of cocaine, and 2,000 counterfeit fentanyl pills, with one suspect discovered asleep next to a loaded handgun and open narcotics bags. In Bayshore, agents uncovered 600 grams of cocaine hidden in a scooter, 7 high-capacity magazines, and a loaded Glock pistol inside a Dodge Durango. The West Islip raid yielded additional heroin, cocaine, and cash, while the Bronx location served as a financial hub, housing a money counter, $10,000 in cash, and cartel-grade packaging equipment. By the end of the operation, agents had seized over 10 kilograms of narcotics, multiple firearms, and evidence linking the group directly to cartel intermediaries. This case confirms what we've been warning for years, said an NYPD narcotics commander. The cartel doesn't just send drugs into our cities, it sends systems. And those systems are now breaking apart. Inside the Wyandanch residence, investigators uncovered what they called a miniature cartel command post. Walls lined with plastic-wrapped bricks of narcotics, digital scales, and chemical residue covering the floor. 3 kilograms of fentanyl, 5 kilograms of heroin, and another kilogram of cocaine were found beside a pistol and a digital money counter. The DEA later calculated that the fentanyl alone held enough potency to kill 1.5 million people, underscoring the devastating scale of the trafficking operation. In Bayshore, police recovered 600 grams of cocaine hidden in a modified scooter, 7 high-capacity magazines, and a loaded Glock in a Dodge Durango. The West Islip raid yielded still more cocaine, heroin, and bundles of cash, while a Bronx stash site turned up cartel-grade packaging materials, a money counter, and $10,000 in small bills, believed to be proceeds from local street sales. Federal authorities confirmed that each house served a specific purpose: one for cutting, one for pressing, one for storage, and one for distribution. Together, the seizures revealed an intricate system capable of supplying narcotics to the entire Long Island corridor. The firearms cache found during the raids painted an even darker picture. Agents seized 2 Taurus 9mm pistols, a Glock 43X, a Mossberg 22 rifle, a 20-gauge shotgun, and multiple 50-round drum magazines. Prosecutors said the group was armed not like dealers, but like soldiers. These weapons were positioned strategically throughout the homes to guard stash rooms and enforce cartel debts. Many of the recovered firearms were stolen or modified, and ballistics testing is underway to determine links to other violent crimes across New York City. Agents also discovered body armor, tactical vests, and encrypted radios, indicating the suspects were preparing for potential confrontations with rival crews or police. DEA field analysts said the Long Island cell mirrored CJNG and Sinaloa enforcement tactics: heavily armed, structured, and disciplined. "This isn't random street dealing," one agent explained. "This is military-style protection for industrial-level narcotics." Authorities believe the group's access to weapons and cartel-grade equipment signals the depth of the cartel's domestic infiltration in the Northeast. The takedown was the result of a 6-month undercover operation involving 13 controlled buys, digital intercepts, and surveillance by DEA, FBI, and NYPD task forces. Undercover officers purchased more than 7,400 counterfeit oxycodone pills and nearly 3 kilograms of cocaine, valued at $245,000, confirming the suspects' role as primary suppliers for several suburban markets. Agents tracked these transactions across Suffolk County, Nassau County, and the Bronx, building a full intelligence picture before launching the synchronized raids. They were on the verge of expanding statewide, a senior investigator said. If we'd waited another month, their distribution map would have doubled. In the final hours before the bust, surveillance teams observed suspects transporting pill presses and sealed duffel bags between houses, a sign they knew an investigation was closing in. Within 24 hours, task forces moved in, arresting all 6 men without incident. The defendants, led by Jose Collado, face over 40 felony charges, including first-degree narcotics sales, conspiracy, and weapons trafficking. Collado's lieutenants are charged with possession and firearm violations, while 3 others face federal distribution counts tied to cartel suppliers operating through the Bronx. Prosecutors confirmed that several defendants are under federal indictment review for possible links to Mexican cartel intermediaries supplying synthetic opioids from border states. They built a direct bridge between Mexico and Long Island, one DEA supervisor said. Now that bridge is gone. Federal authorities called the Long Island fentanyl pipeline takedown one of the most consequential narcotics operations in recent New York history, a case that demonstrates how deeply Mexican cartel supply lines have embedded themselves into American cities and suburbs. DEA Special Agent Frank Tarantino described the bust as a direct strike against the new face of cartel logistics: fast, digital, and deadly. He said modern drug networks no longer rely on border crossings or couriers alone. They rely on encrypted phones, delivery apps, and cash transfers that hide behind everyday life. The cartels don't need tunnels anymore, Tarantino said. They're already inside our suburbs. The DEA confirmed that the 6 suspects were moving thousands of counterfeit pills weekly, many pressed with fentanyl imported from Mexico and disguised as legitimate painkillers. One pill can kill, and they were making millions of them, an FBI official added. The FBI New York Field Office, NYPD Organized Crime Control Bureau, and Suffolk County DA's office jointly supervised the takedown under the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force's OCDETF program, the same federal framework used to prosecute international cartels. During a joint press briefing in Riverhead, Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney said every kilogram of fentanyl seized could have produced 500,000 fatal doses. "We're not exaggerating. This operation stopped a death wave before it hit," Tierney stated. The DA outlined how the digital fentanyl trade has transformed since 2020. Dealers advertise through Snapchat, Instagram, and encrypted Telegram groups, delivering pills to teenagers who think they're buying prescription-grade oxycodone. Instead, they're getting synthetic poison that kills within minutes. Tierney called the Long Island network a cartel pipeline disguised as a local delivery service. Families of overdose victims stood beside law enforcement leaders as evidence tables displayed bricks of narcotics, firearms, and cash, a stark reminder of what's at stake. One mother, Carol Trotter, who lost her 21-year-old son to fentanyl poisoning in 2018, said the takedown gives her a glimmer of hope, but not closure. She added, "For everyone they catch, there's another one waiting to sell. That's why they can't stop fighting." Her words drew silent nods from agents standing nearby, a reminder that this isn't just an enforcement mission, but a war for survival in America's communities. Federal prosecutors confirmed the investigation is now expanding beyond Long Island, targeting cartel-linked intermediaries operating through Bronx distribution hubs and New Jersey corridors. Agents say digital evidence from phones and cash apps has already produced leads to secondary cells tied to both CJNG and Sinaloa networks. The message is clear, a Justice Department spokesperson said. "If you move fentanyl in New York, you're working for a cartel, and we will treat you like one." Officials warned that the DOJ and DEA are intensifying operations across the Northeast under Operation Take Back America, focusing on fentanyl trafficking, weapons recovery, and organized digital distribution. Every pill seized today is a life saved tomorrow. That's not a slogan. That's a fact. As evidence was loaded into federal trucks and the suspects were processed into custody, one agent summarized the sentiment on the ground. They thought Long Island was safe territory. Now they know nowhere in America is safe for the cartel.